This is an informational video to introduce the basic concept of BOPT, or Balance of Performance Time, that we will be running in the RACE4sport Fair Chance League. The footage here is taken from a multi-class race at Nürburgring, organized by the Pacific Majors as one of the races in their Predator Challenge series. The Predator series ran 4 groups, each with a different car. Group 1, GT3 cars, Group 2, GTE cars, Group 3, GT1, and Group 4 were the Corvette Daytona prototypes. The RACE4sport Fair Chance League will run only 2 cars, but the groups are based on the iRating brackets of each driver. Lowest iRating in Group 1, highest rating in Group 4. For the purpose of this video, pretend that the GT3 cars here are the lowest iRating Group 1. So on the grid, following the pace car, are the Group 1 cars, grouped in order of fastest qualifying time. In the pits waiting are the Group 2, Group 3, and Group 4 cars. Off and running. As is normally the case, the field spreads out a bit, but racing is close and competitive. Looks like fun to me. In the RACE4sport's Fair Chance series, the GTE cars here in this illustration are Group 2. The single GT1 car here represents the GT3 Group 3 cars in the RACE4sport Fair Chance League, and the Corvette prototypes are the Group 4s. This will be essentially a staggered start with Groups 2, 3, and 4 starting in the pits after each group's BOPT, or Balance of Performance Time. As you can see, Group 1 is spreading out. Group 2 is waiting in the pits to be released by the racing steward. After the appropriate BOP waiting time, Group 2 starts from the pits, controlled by the race steward. Again, the order of each group is by fastest qualifying time, fastest in front. In the Predator Challenge, the race was longer in duration, so the holding time was longer than we will see in the RACE4sport Fair Chance race. The BOPT for Group 2 in the RACE4sport Fair Chance race will be a 45-minute event and would be more like around 30 seconds BOPT for the Group 1 green flag to Group 2 start from the pits. That's about a 30-second BOPT for the Group 2. Group 3 is represented by the sole GT1 car in the Predator Challenge here. The number of cars in each group in the RACE4sport Fair Chance series is likely to be a more balanced size, with Group 1 and Group 2 being the largest groups, but certainly more than one in each of Group 3 and 4. Again, Group 2 is spreading out, chasing Group 1. But traffic here is pretty much like a normal race would be, where the fastest car, the fastest qualifier, is pulling away a little bit from the cars behind them, etc. Good racing action here. Group 4 is still waiting in the pits. Group 1 is approaching. Group 2 is still quite far behind Group 1, so the BOPT time is doing what it was intended to do, which is to allow the Group 1 cars to race competitively with each other, at least for a while. Group 1 cars are still quite a bit ahead of the Group 2. In the Predator Challenge, the race was longer in duration, so the holding time was longer than you will see in the RACE4sport Fair Chance race. The BOPT for the Group 4 in RACE4sport Fair Chance would be more like about 90 seconds after the Group 1 green flag. Most often Group 4 will be entering the track just in front of the leader of Group 1, but on some shorter courses a bit later. You can see the Group 4 cars still waiting in the pits. One Group 2 overshot the course a little bit. Okay, here is Group 4 starting from their, or after their BOPT holding time. Again, these represent the gifted drivers with the highest iRating. Again, the order in each group is by fastest qualifying time, fastest in front. And as mentioned, most often in the RACE4sport Fair Chance racing, Group 4 will be entering the track just in front of the leader of Group 1, but on some courses a bit later. Certainly this format will provide lots of competitive passing. As the race progresses, Group 2 cars will begin overtaking slower Group 1 cars. Group 3 cars will be overtaking Group 2 and Group 3 cars, and the fastest Group 4 cars will be overtaking many of the slowest cars in all the other groups. The RACE4sport Fair Chance League has strict no blocking as well as racing room and corner rights rules that are enforced by the race steward, who is observing the event in real time. Infractions of the rules will result in a black flag penalty to the offender, so dive bombing will simply not be allowed and would produce no advantage given the strict rules enforcement. Passing will be clean, and head games or intimidation tactics will be discouraged. Great racing action here. You can see the Daytona prototype, which would be a Group 4 car, closing in on Group 2 and Group 1 cars. The leader of the race is still not a Group 4 car yet. All right. The goal is that the fastest drivers from each group will be converging on one another in the last laps. For example, at the white flag lap, the last lap of the race, the fastest Group 1 would pass the start-finish ahead of the fastest Group 2, ideally by less than a second, about 150 to 200 feet, with the fastest Group 3 car maybe only 120 feet behind that. The fastest Group 4 car would pass the start-finish on the last lap, following the Group 3 car by maybe only 120 feet. Essentially, ideally, there would be about a gap of between the Group 1 car and the Group 4 car equivalent to about 2.6% of the fastest qualifying time for the race, slightly less than the expected difference between the Group 4 and Group 1 lap times. Hypothetically, there would be a photo finish. Obviously, who is the fastest in each group will have to do more than just on qualifying time. It will include racing skills as well as qualifying skills. Every driver doing their best, or even exceeding their best, has a fair chance, particularly drivers who know how to handle traffic better than others. One can see from the Predator Challenge in the footage, the finish was close. No one group dominated. Each group will have at least one finisher in the top 5. Let's watch the racing action. Group 2 car is passing a Group 1 car. Concerns about too much traffic congestion, I think, are overrated. Basically, the close competition or congestion should be no worse than any other closely contested race. I will say some of the drivers in the Group 2 cars, which are basically the Ferraris here, are some of the best drivers in iRacing. They really were doing very, very well. Using all the track, driving expertly. Cars are well set up, handling well. A good hot lap of Nürburgring. One of the reasons why we chose the GTE cars is they're fast and they handle well. They're some of the newest cars on iRacing. And drivers that are used to open wheel cars will adapt very quickly to these cars. They have a nice balanced feel. They're very fast, but not so fast that less experienced drivers cannot master them. But that's the whole point. This is a race where drivers with all levels of abilities can compete fairly against one another. We should never and will never know who is likely to be the winner until the race is over in the RACE4sport Fair Chance League. A well-driven Group 1 driver finished very, very highly in the standings here. Basically, the GT3 Mercedes finished third. That would have been a Group 1 car. The Group 2 cars, Mark Torres and Jimbo Pfeiffer, were in first and second. The fourth place car was a Daytona prototype. That would have been a Group 4 car. So essentially, one can see the finish was close. No one group dominated, each group having one or more in the top 5.